Hello, everybody. Today, I want to talk about a really spooky story. Now, the reason I want to share this is because it's also a true story, and my favorite spooky stories are the ones that are true, just because I've had my own experiences with paranormal phenomena. So that's the reason I told you the story about the hang on, is because I think I really saw something in there, and that's what I call that's why I say it sparked an interest in paranormal activity for me. And so ever since then, it was a curiosity of mine and something I would ask my mom about. Now, my parents watched a lot of horror movies and they read a lot of spooky books. Like my mom loved Stephen King and all those type of writers. But I would ask her for real stories about stuff that actually happened. That's what I wanted to know about. Now, I didn't realize I was going in and out of visionary state until I was much older when I was getting, closer to 23, 24 years old. Then I started catching on. And so that's why it came to be a surprise to me because, I'd been, learning about this all these years, asking questions, reading books, and thought, wouldn't it be cool if I was psychic or had a really cool psychic experience? And it just didn't seem like I was really having anything that cool. Like I think a lot of people are aware of things like ghosts or dreams that come true or possibly even astral travel. So I was aware of some of that stuff and it seemed kind of like, well, that should be common knowledge by now. But when I started coming into the visionary experiences, then that's when I realized this is a little different than what I expected. I didn't know there was anything like this, and since then I've been kind of looking for input, insight, or input, and I find that actually this is also a common occurrence in a way. There's a lot of people that have the same thing, and actually, it's a big part of human history that doing research on where like the mystics or the like Nostradamus, all these kind of famous clairvoyant people who have said things that affect society. So back in ancient times when civilization was being built, some people were going to oracles to get advice and decide what to do with everything, and they'd make major decisions. And so over the generations, people go to the visionary state, like in like the Native American culture, they go into the visionary state intentionally, if possible. Like if you really, running out of options, then you get you might do that when you get really desperate. Like one of my favorite Indians was his crazy horse. So when push came to shove, he was running out of options, and he even did this in an appropriate way. He was a fun Indian to read about because he was always a backwards person, always kind of they called it a sacred clown or a hayoka. And so he always kind of, did weird little things. I got a lot more to learn about the guy, but the main point about him was, what he did is he went to visionary state and and then he got so much information and then came back and said, here's what we need to do. So when the English people were coming to fight them, I guess Custard, I think this is Custard's last battle, if I'm correct. Well, that's how his crazy horse was able to help the Indians defeat these people, as they followed the information that he got from the vision. So that's why I went to the Indians to learn a little bit from them, and then I ended up moving up here to live with Rosie because she was like at the time about the only person I could really talk to. She needed a companion, and I was sick of Denver, so that's why I'm up here because this particular phenomena has been such a big part of my life, and it has been a decision making factor for me. And so that's, it's kind of interesting to share about it because there is some reality to it that might give confirmation to other people. So now the reason I wanted to mention Bill Leeb is because so he was introduced to me in these visions when I was a little kid, and so in the visionary state, he was called Billy, and I think that in reality, nobody really calls him that. They probably call him either Will or William or Willem. I don't know how you say that. But the only people that call him Bill are Frontline Assembly fans. Then you might know him as Bill Leeb, but I don't think that's how you call him if you know him in person. So I think Billy only exists in my visions. Billy was supposed to be Bill Leeb, but Bill Leeb is never consciously present, and therefore I wouldn't hold him accountable for anything that is said or done, so I shouldn't, uh, take out, let my reaction towards him be based on what Billy set off. So whatever, what I'm saying is, so, I want to be fair to Bill Leeb if I'm sharing stories where I make mention of him because he is a real person and he does care what people think or say, and especially if it's in public. But I do care about Bill Leeb enough that, if I mention him or bring him into my stories, that I always want to keep the stories respectful and the conversations appropriate, and that I'm only willing to share information that needs to be shared in order to convey the way the visions and the story unfolds is really kind of the point. Like the story is about how so the fact that you can go into a visionary state and learn information that's remote to you or see glimpses of the future is really kind of what I want to talk about and make that kind of the important part of my story. And then secondarily, Bill Leeb comes into the picture just because, this is what was bestowed upon me. So it's not really my imagination or something that I created in my mind. But it's more like if somebody sat down in front of you and they told you this whole thing about whatever happened to their life or what you need to know next. It's not your imagination. You're listening to something that came from somebody else's imagination. And that's what makes it also mysterious is I'm not sure whose imagination these visions are coming from, because you might say, well, it is possibly your own subconscious, but there could be otherworldly beings, or maybe just it's like really hard to explain. So that's what we call it paranormal. It's science that hasn't been explained. So I'm sure there's a good logical reason for why these type of visionary state experiences happen to people, or why it's happening to me, and possibly a good logical explanation for why Bill Leeb had to be in them. But I just want to make sure it's understood that I'm I'm an honest person and I share my stories generously and truthfully, at risk of looking like a dumbass. And the reason I talk about it is I really think it's fun to talk about it, and it's interesting, and I really hope that there's something to learn from it in the long run. And so far I have learned quite a bit from it, but there's still something to share there and something to gain. And if it wasn't worthwhile talking about, I sure as hell wouldn't be making this video. So if you enjoyed my conversation, hang in there. I want to make videos one point at a time, because I can only uh, upload shorter recordings. I can't do an hour long speech, or I would. But so yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Have a fun day.